Got a couple of guests in studio with me who I got a chance to meet for the first time a couple of weeks ago. Actually, I got a tour of a renovation of a historic building. In fact, I was told at the time that one of the rooms might be and people have added on to homes obviously over the years, but one of the rooms in this building might just be the oldest standing room in Cassia County. Uh, and the walls are about some of the wooden walls are about 5 inches thick, and I'm told that they would withstand a round from a 50 caliber. Not that anybody wants to find out, but it gave me an indication that at one time when people were building things in the early pioneer days, they were building them to last, and now they're building them to last or renovating them to last perhaps for another few hundred years. Joining me in studio, and you've been hearing me talk about Western Visions for the last couple of weeks. But first of all, Russell Smith, you're the founder of the company, right? I can
Yes, you
say
bet.
that
Yeah, and we
comfortably.
comfortably you can say I'm the founder, so I'm responsible.
And of course, Robert Moore coming along with you too as well, who actually you're having the work done.
Correct.
Uh, I don't know where to start with this. Is probably just to say, with you, Robert, how did you decide you wanted to go ahead with this project? Because I know it's near your current residence, but you wanted a guest house essentially, right?
Correct. I have been doing workshops in my Declo studio for years, but I wanted to have it a little more intimate. So we took this farmhouse and decided we wanted to remodel it so I could have a more intimate setting for the guests to come and do workshops.
I got to say, your Declo studio too. I've been through Decla before, and I'd been by it without realizing there was a studio inside. And I took a lot of photographs that day of just some of the work and the paintings that are on the walls. And I sent them to friends around the country and said, and you got to figure Declo's got 300 people and some change. And to find this in the middle of that community was quite a stunner. I have reaction from people all over the country I sent those pictures to who they want to come out now and see it. So if they start pounding at the door on some afternoon this summer when the weather gets a little bit better, you'll know why they're there.
All right. Well,
Don't turn them away.
they're welcome.
Well, I think if they have a free week, Robert would be glad to sign them up for one of his art workshops as well, and they could actually spend a few nights and eat a few good meals in the lodge we're renovating.
One of the painters that day, I said, "How do you know when you're done?" Because I'm not what you'd call skilled at this. And he pointed at Robert and said, "When the boss tells me I'm done." Well, Russell, then you got involved in this project, and your history is you had, when you were younger, done some renovations, retired, realized maybe you were too young to retire, and decided that you'd like to get back into doing something challenging again.
Right. Well, I grew up in an area in western Colorado that was a growing resort area, and of course, in an area like that that starts out as a very, very little town. My hometown actually was a little bit different from most of the ski areas there. A lot of the ski areas there came into being in some of the early ones in the 40s and 50s, others a little later on in towns that had historically been mining or ranching towns. So there was an existing town municipal base there, say at the bottom of the mountain or somewhat proximate to where the ski hill was. My hometown was a little bit different in that skiing came to that valley and the town was coterminous with the creation of the ski resort. So there was no town. It was an empty valley when the ski resort was initially conceived, and the town grew up around it. And so we really watched the town grow. And so grew up around a lot of new construction. And we also had a family ranch in southern Colorado. So I was around the fix it up world, if you will, as a young kid. My first career out of college after I graduated from a big sky school that'll remain unnamed in these parts down here. But I had gone back home to Colorado and had an 8-year career as a home builder in that area before spending 20 years in the international global consulting world, from which I retired about a year and a half ago. Decided I needed something to do because I was still pretty young, and the option was sitting around the pool bar out at Hawaii at my place out there and drinking umbrella drinks all day. And since I don't really drink, that left that out. And sitting around the pool all day sounded a little boring. So I decided to start a new business and focus really on a couple key things. One being the upper mid to high end renovation world, and in very, very select situations, high end custom single family home building.
Now, you do branch out a little though. I mean, you can do if someone has an old business that they'd like to renovate and maybe even give it that historical look, you could step in and perhaps do that too as well.
You bet. And I don't want to really focus too much on the historic, quite frankly, Bill, while that may be the focus of the project that we're working on right now, because it happened to be an older building
Mhm.
that we're taking a lot of remediation steps to really bring into the modern age, if you will. A lot of what we do is very cutting edge from a technological standpoint with respect to finishes, with respect to lighting schemes, and quite frankly, with respect to design elements as well.
Mentioning lighting because that's key. I was talking with a friend a few years ago. We were thinking about building our own radio studio, and he said, I would recommend, he said, you go with modern lighting in an LED type of sense. He said it'll be more expensive at first, but you'll be happy you did 10 years from now. Um, there's a lot of these things you can do. I've seen how people have integrated them, though, right into walls. And I mean, amazing technology that we have available that just simply wasn't there 15 years ago.
You bet. When you and I are about the same age, and when we were little kids, we might go to Radio Shack or something to play around with, maybe inventing some nifty little thing to do in our room, like an alarm to keep the parent, let us know when the parents were coming or something like that. And they had those little red LEDs that you could hook up to a battery. Well, LED has come a long way. And bottom line is, almost all solid, credible, modern lighting schemes are now built around LED. The uh, the environmentalist wackos wanted us to use these silly spiral bulbs there for a while, which were full of arsenic, terrible to dispose of. So it was another one of those great hypocritical issues they tried to foist on us, and that impacted our industry quite a bit, as it was just really a bad solution. Well, LED is quite the opposite. A, it uses almost no power. B, the lighting style can be changed based on the heat value of the lamp itself. And we incorporate a lot of those in Robert's project. We're going to be using a lot of directional LEDs on the walls because there's going to be a lot of art. Got a guest lodge for a famous artist, you're going to have a lot of art on the walls, and that's going to be one of the key things that you'll see that we had an eye towards when we designed what we did, leaving as much open wall space as we could for art. Well, we're going to wash those with directional LEDs. Another thing we do a lot of is USB receptacles in the walls. Think about forgetting your phone charger. Well, if you've got your Apple charger or your Samsung charger and you don't have the plug part, well, you got a USB plug in the wall. We try to put those in every room of every remodel that we do.
And Robert, in your case, you commented to me the day I was out visiting that you grew up as a farm boy in that area, and then you got into the art world, and a lot of extensive travel and the like. But still, how do you end up finding a guy like Russell? How did that come about?
Well, I was at a show opening in Missoula, Montana, and they surprised me with, I don't know, I was honored, and several of my apprentices from the past and people that I'm close to sent in videos, and it was like a surprise party for me, and they ran these videos, and through the process, Russell found out that I was a Christian, so he wanted to meet me, and we got talking, and that's basically how we got together. I found out what he did and the level of work that he did, and I asked him if he ever would consider coming to Southern Idaho.
I had actually owned some of Robert's art, but never had met the artist. And I'm friends with the gallery owner of this particular gallery, independent of now being friends with Robert. Um, but had the opportunity to meet him here at the showing. One thing led to another, and we were already in the process of thinking about some other options, some venues where we could be doing work. This opportunity came along, and it segued nicely with our desire to start doing some more work down here in the Magic Valley, and quite frankly, is really becoming more of our focus overall as a business.
I was going to say that what I've noticed is there's a symbiotic relationship going on here with the development of this project, and the fact that you two seem to be on the same wavelength, and there's a lot of communication that's going back and forth. And that's probably a good way to put it, right? Is that uh, it's sort of a joint vision that's going on here at the moment.
Yeah, one of the things that we really try to do, Bill, is when we first sit down with a potential client and talk about concept and design, it really is vision. Western Visions is our name, but visions is an important part of the process. And just discussing what the vision may be. In this particular case, it was Robert and his wife's Rebecca's vision
Mm-hmm.
for workshops that are more than just an art class. They really immerse their selves and their attendees in the concept of what they're doing. I kind of refer to Robert as Yoda. I mean, he's an extremely well-known modern impressionist artist. He's in galleries up and down the resort towns in the Rocky Mountain region and some other areas as well. And he is kind of Yoda in that sense. He mentors apprentices in his studio in Declo as it is. You witness some of that, and he really brings that had the idea to bring that vision that he brings to his apprentices in a long-term setting to the attendees of his workshop in a more abbreviated format of 4, 5, 6 day workshops. And so we kind of took that concept and that vision that they had for impacting people's lives in as much as just um, enhancing their experience in the art world to the building process and the design process itself. And that may sound a little flowery, I realize, but it really does have a grounded reality when you sit down and talk to somebody, whether it's the home they live in, whether it's their office that needs renovation, or whether it's something like this that's sort of a mutated version of those types of projects, because this has a commercial element in that it involves his art workshops, but it's really a home and it's guests, and they have 6 children. Down the road, those kids are going to be having babies. When they come home for Christmas, they're not all fitting in the main house either. So they're probably going to use this for family and friends also.
And the house itself that I got to look at, it's going to be, I would say, inspirational in the sense people can look out the windows and see a mountain range. They can see fields. There's a canal nearby. So just in the sense that there's a tie in there too, right?
Yes, there is. And the part of the vision, an important part of the vision is just for people to be coming from urban areas that want to experience something totally different
Right.
out west and in especially in a rural farm community and actually be in it and part of it with somebody who has was born in Cassia County and still lives there and knows about the agricultural life. So that's part of the vision.
We're going to take a short break. I've got more coming up. Robert Moore in studio with us, along with Russell Smith, and we're talking about the work of Western Visions. I'm going to talk a little bit about how you might get in touch with them too in the next segment of the program. Right now we're at 31, looking for a high today, mid 30s at best. Cheer up though; it'll all be over with in I don't know 30 to 60 days. We've got more coming up in just a moment on Top Story on News Radio 1310 KLIX and NewsRadio1310.com. I have a couple of guests in studio, and we're talking about, well, I think the best way to put it is high end renovation and work that you could have done as well. It's coming up on 923, and we're at 31. You're listening to Top Story on News Radio 1310 KLIX and NewsRadio1310.com. Robert Moore and Russell Smith are in the studio with us. Russell, the company is called Western Visions Inc. That's the way it is on my sheet anyway. And the website is Western Visions, right?
Western-visions.com. There is a hyphen in between Western and Visions.
People can see work there, right? They can
You bet.
see what's going on with
Work,
various
concepts,
projects.
etc.
So,
And they can also get a hold of us. There's a couple places to click through for email access, etc.
and you know they can sit down and start coming, maybe even up with a floor plan with you and working it through, right?
Absolutely.
Now, one of the things you wanted to mention was, you know, how is it doing business in the Magic Valley? You've got one project obviously almost finished, and we've been talking about the winter weather and the like. I know that might slow some people down. It doesn't seem to hurt anything you're doing.
Well, the majority of this project that we're doing for Robert is actually indoors, so that helps. Obviously, now you have staging and other issues exterior to the building, but this project is primarily an indoor project. It's been a very comprehensive project, as you've seen when you were out on site.
Mm-hmm.
We literally pulled down almost every ceiling in the entire house, most of the walls. We built new rooms, built new bathrooms, taking it from a very mediocre 1.5 bath setup to 4 full baths that are all pretty darn nice. And we've not changed much with the overall floor plan with the exception of the bathroom additions, but walls have come down, ceilings have come down and been replaced. 100% of the electrical wiring in the house has been replaced. 100% of the plumbing, literally from where the waste line exits the building into the septic, from that point in, 100% of the plumbing has been replaced in the house. So pretty extensive gut and retrofit inside the walls. There will be a little exterior work being done as spring moves along here, but the bulk of it was inside, so we weren't impacted too badly by the weather, other than access, uh, subcontractors getting their people there, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, doing business in the Magic Valley, there are a lot of places that, I drive out by the canyon sometimes if I go out to Hagerman or various locations and I see these remote but beautiful homes. And sometimes there are some old homes that people would like to turn around into that summer home or that retirement home. You'd be the guy to get in touch with.
It will definitely be one of them. Would love the opportunity. We're in the process of making some further investment here towards our business in the Magic Valley. Love doing business here. A lot of people look at suppliers, for instance, and say, well, you're doing business with them, so of course they're going to be nice to you. Not always the case, as some of your listeners may well know. They may walk in one store that sells a similar product to another, and the guy or the gal behind the counter barely notices that they're there, and they go in the other store and they love it that they showed up. Well, the same thing works with respect to subcontractors and suppliers in our
Mm-hmm.
business. And, I'd like to take the opportunity, quite frankly, to give a shout out to Ramsey Heating and Electric. They're doing the HVAC on this project, and they've been outstanding, as has Mark Catmull with Catmull Plumbing, both out of Burley, Idaho. I know they both serve the greater Magic Valley area as well. The people at Rocky Mountain Flooring, the people over at Ferguson Plumbing Supply and Appliances have been outstanding, as has, of course, we use exclusively Sherwin-Williams products for our paints on all our projects. And the Sherwin-Williams people, both the inside and outside reps, have been outstanding here, and really a pleasure to work with.
Got a couple of minutes to go. And I think that one of the interesting things that I can note about this is the work is being done for an artist. Your people are craftsmen. I mean, they're not what you'd call, um, this is they're not like doing an industrial build somewhere. These are people who come in and they almost have an artistry to what they're doing.
You bet. And it all starts with the design concept. I'd like to think that we have some stock in trade in our design expertise, the vision that we bring to the project. But we're also very, very particular about the type of subcontractors that we bring on site. Did a lot of research before we came into this marketplace. We believe we're using some of the best people in the region. Their work has evidenced that to date. And I can tell you that almost without exception, everyone that we've had involved on this project will be involved on future projects here in the Magic Valley for us.
I was going to say, uh, once you get a team in place, you want to keep them working in a particular area. You don't, because if they start getting moving along, you may not be able to track them down again.
There's a lot of value to that, and again, really the subs that we're using now that we're happy with are all vested in this marketplace already. They're all have established reputations, families, et cetera. So they're people that are not going to be moving along, but we're happy with them. We're gonna continue using the craftsmen that we're using.
I know I had a friend I was telling you about during the break who was building energy efficient homes on the eastern shore of the Chesapeake, and I said, "Could you build me a home in Accomack County, Virginia?" And it was only 2 counties away, but it was a 2-hour drive away. And he looked at me and said, "I could not bring my team down there and do this logistically." And I said, "You mean there's nobody else?" He said, "I would have to bring my team." In other words, he's just not going to go pick people off the street.
And in the Delmarva, that's a big issue. Here, fortunately, we have this canyon, but there are some bridges. Delmarva is definitely a different situation.
Well, they don't have any mountains. I don't think there's anything much really higher than 40 feet above sea level. So, yeah, the different culture, different world. I want to thank you both for coming by today. I know it's a bit of a drive, and to turn around and go back, and at least the weather was good this morning. We're getting to that point. I can't wait to come out and see the house when it's finished. And it has that lodge look to it. And I understand that maybe in about 2 weeks, things will start to get a little green. We hope, right?
Yeah, and probably in about 4 weeks, you can come out and see a finished product.
Oh, super. Want to thank you both for coming by today.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And Want to point out one more half hour of the program coming up. Got some news about the EPA and also something called an Article 5 convention. That's being discussed today in the State Senate in Boise. Right now it's 31. It's 9:30. You're listening to News Radio 1310 KLIX and newsradio1310.com.